Members of People's Democratic Party in Delta State have found themselves at a crossroads ahead of the 2023 general election. This stems from a battle among its members over a power rotation agreement that will determine where the next Delta State candidate of the PDP will emerge from to contest the governorship poll during the next election cycle. Zoning and power rotation have become entrenched in Nigerian politics. In 1999, when the PDP adopted a formal arrangement, an informal arrangement to rotate the presidency between the North and the South in order to ensure equity and balance. Many states were later to follow suit by adopting the same arrangement for persons seeking to run for office at the governorship level and even at legislative levels. However, the party's internal squabbles in the state have been triggered by some members who are insisting that the Delta Central Senatorial District must field a governorship candidate for the next election. But there are others from Delta South and Delta North who are unwilling to concede. To discuss the complexity of Delta politics and the discordance threatening to tear the PDP apart in a state considered its stronghold, we're now being joined from Asaba by the Executive Assistant to the Delta State Governor on Communication, Fred Latimore Oghenesivbe. He will also be speaking on the passage of the PIB and the allocation of 3% to the host community fund in the legislation. Good morning, Mr. Oghenesivbe, and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you, Tudu.
Well, Fred Latimore, good morning. Would it be right to say that this controversy about zoning in Delta State was triggered by the governor himself, Dr. Patrick Okowa, who said, look, there is no formal agreement about zoning in Delta State, when he himself is a beneficiary of what looked like a zoning agreement when he came to power. And he's been challenged, one by Olorogun Kenneth Baggy, who says, look, next time 2023 election is the turn of the Urobos, and that agreement is not only formal, it exists and must be respected. So you think it's the governor who caused this controversy? And why should he be interested about who succeeds him? Because many people in the state don't believe in all that talk about it. He's more interested in fairness and justice rather than zoning.
Well, let me say from the outset that the governor is not the problem with rotational power. Rotational power has been there, and the governor only said that, well, at the appropriate time, the leaders of the party in the 3 senatorial districts will meet and then fashion out how to deal with the issue of rotation. You'll recall that in 2015, it was supposed to be the turn of the Delta North, but some political gladiators in Delta Central and Delta South decided to contest against that arrangement. And that arrangement became somehow a problem, because by zoning, it was meant that, look, if you are from Delta South and Delta Central, and it is turn of Delta North, it is Delta North that will have the aspirants, and the delegates will vote for a particular candidate in that senatorial district to become the party's candidate. Then in a situation where you find that, look, if it is the Delta North is to produce a governor, but you now have aspirants in Delta South and Delta Central, that makes a mockery. That makes a mockery of the zoning arrangement. So the way it is today, it is not the governor that is the problem. The problem is that we must come to the round table and redefine the power rotation arrangement.
Right.
And then so that when it is the turn of a particular senatorial district, you don't find other people in the other district contesting against that district.
But the issue from some quarters is this desire to redefine an arrangement that already exists. Why, in your view, is that necessary?
It is necessary because the zoning arrangement was not adhered to strictly by some members of the party in other senatorial districts. For example, in 2015, David Edevie and Senator Oghenesivbe, who was in PDP at that time, and some other candidates in Delta South, they contested against Delta North, which is not supposed to be. So that arrangement somehow was impliedly or expressly repudiated by some political actors within the PDP family. So for if it's going to be more well organized, then the leaders must come to a roundtable discussion and then agree on, fundamental principles that will guide the rotation of power.
Okay.
So that in the near future, you don't find people just coming to contest against the rotation arrangement.
Okay, so my understanding of Delta politics is this. Other people will contest, but the House will gravitate towards the person that will be given the mandate because of the rotation agreement. And that's why when you see every ticket has always had that balance. I remember when Chief James Ibori was there, his deputy was from, the north. That was Benjamin Elue. And you see that balance to even when power went to former governor of Delta State, I forget his name now, from the Shekiri part.
Unduanga.
Emmanuel Leweta Odwanga. You'll see that there was a balancing out with Professor Amos Agbe Otuama, which was a deputy governor. So there's always a balancing out. So for you to come and say this, a lot of people are shocked. And I'd like to put it to you that wouldn't this set the state on a collusion course between the governor and Chief James Ibori? Because things have always balanced themselves out.
Well, the governor has not said in any fora that power will not go to Central. What he simply said is that the leaders of the party will meet and discuss the way forward. The way forward in the power rotation agreement. So he has not, the governor did not say that power will not go to Central or South or anywhere. So I don't see where, the governor will be in a coalition with, former governor James Ibori. And in fact, recently, the governor said that nobody will be able to pitch him against Ibori. And that himself and Ibori, including former governor Odwanga, that they are all working together in accord. So what that means is that the issue of rotation has not been jettisoned. So what I think is happening is that if we must keep the power rotation going, let it be smooth. The transition should be very, very smooth, such that you don't find some members of the party working against the rotation arrangement.
Looks like, this is a fight among the political elite, the leadership in Delta State. I mentioned Olorugun Kenneth Gbagi. Rufai mentioned James Onanefe, Ibori. There are others there on the other side. In APC, the APC, in fact, one of their prominent leaders has said, look, the governor should forget this idea about all this, the thing living Urobo. And then the Ijos, their own spokesperson, have also spoken up to say, no, the next governor must be Ijo, not Urobo. Now, how, as someone who is right there observing all of this, how do you think all of this can be managed? So that the proper focus is not about the big men of Delta, who are defending their own ethnic conflicts. In fact, I've even had the Isoko people and even other people, they are also saying it's their turn. So how do we manage all of this in the best interest of the people?
Yes, the political arrangement in Delta has been that of the gladiators coming together to, fine-tune the process. And I still believe strongly that that process will be fine-tuned. By the time, the leaders of the party in the 3 senatorial districts come together, and I hope, in my own opinion, that will be done very soon.
No, when you say the party, you are referring to the PDP.
Has also said that. He mentioned that the leaders will come together.
No, you are referring to the PDP when you talk about the leaders,
so
right?
I'm sure that problem will be resolved.
Across party lines, across ethnic and clannish lines. Hello?
Yes, it's very easy. I think that has been in the past. You remember in 2015, we had a similar development in the state. And within 48 hours to the party primaries, it was resolved. And Governor Okowa emerged as the party candidate, and all the other districts collapsed their structures and delivered Governor Okowa. And I'm sure that is still going to happen this time around.
Right. Will Governor Okowa keep his election promise to hand over to Delta Central? And also, is this not a betrayal of James Ibori?
I don't think it has come to that yet, because the political development in the state for now is not ripe enough to know whether or not the governor is going to betray anybody. And I said earlier that the governor said that, look, it is only God that knows his successor. And if he says that it's only God that knows his successor, it means that it's not passing it's not saying that a particular district will take the governorship in 2023. But in my view, I feel that by the time the party leaders meet, they will be able to redefine the rotation agreement such that it will not be disrupted subsequently. So I believe that before party primary in 2022, the issue of the power rotation will be resolved. All the leaders in the senatorial districts, they will all come together and then forge the way ahead. In Delta, we have leader. The leader is the governor, and the governor, being the leader, knows what to do. He knows how to put the other leaders together, and then they discuss at the round table and give us a candidate at the end of the day. And I'm still very sure that this power will go to Delta Central. In my own view, I don't have any doubt about it.
But a lot of people will be shocked at the fact that the governor says, only God knows my successor, owing to the fact that leading up to his emergence, most people in Delta State did know that he was going to emerge. I mean, there was word around town. He had gone to the Senate. That was preparatory to getting the governorship position. Because of this same zoning arrangement, that the North was going to get it, yes, that Delta North was going to get it, and he was a fine candidate to get it because of this same arrangement on ground. And the word on ground now is that the camp of Chief James Oghenesivbe is not happy. This was not supposed to come up for conversation if things were done rightly. Do you think the governor can go up against Ibori?
I don't see any division between the governor and Chief Ibori. It's not long ago, say barely 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, he said that, look, himself and Governor Ibori and Uduaghan, that they are working together, that they have a watertight relationship that cannot be break into by any political gladiator. And if he says that, I believe that the leaders will resolve the issue. And I do not think it has come to the point where the Boris camp will be angry or will be dissatisfied with what is happening, because the governor has not pitched tent with any side as the leader of the party in the state. And that is expected of a leader. Because if people are agitating, if there are unresolved issues, it will not be proper for the governor to come out outrightly to say that, look, this is where I belong. That is why it is good for all the leaders to meet, resolve all the gray areas, and then forge the way ahead. And I know that at the end of the day, the governor, Chief Ibori, and the entire state structure of the party will harmoniously work together to deliver the next PDP candidate who will eventually become the governor of the state by the grace of God. And don't forget that this arrangement is within the PDP family. But the other political parties are not involved in this internal rotation of power. So therefore, within our party, we have a mechanism, we have a way of resolving issues. And when we get there, we are going to cross it. And I'm sure the governor, being a grassroots politician and an experienced political actor, will be able to manage the issues properly. And at the end of the day, the power rotation agreement will still continue.
Executive assistant, but a lot of the word on the street is the dissolution of the cabinet by the governor was to remove those Ibori loyalists. A lot of people say it was a masterstroke, the likes of removing the likes of David Zedevia, from the governor's cabinet, was to dislodge that Ibori loyalist and tell them it's battle time. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, that is not correct. Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead, sir.
That is not correct. What the governor simply said when he dissolved the cabinet was that he didn't want distractions, because the second leg of the stronger data agenda of this administration must be implemented to fruition. And he didn't want any member of ESCO who is interested in contesting elections to also be involved in governance, because that would mean a divided interest. So he wanted to be sure of those who are ready to help to run the administration to the last minute. And it was not targeted towards removal of Ibori's loyalists. For example, the Commissioner for Works, Mr. Agoye, is not known to be a Ibori loyalist, but he is also not there now at the moment. And there are several other persons who are not in the Ibori political structure that did not return. So it is wrong to say that it was done to remove Ibori loyalists from the government. Even as we speak, there are people in the new cabinet. Among the 18 commissioners that have just been confirmed, there are still Ibori loyalists among them. And so that is the handiwork of people who want to bring friction to the party, especially the opposition. They are also sponsoring negative publicity to make sure that they divide the party. That will not work, because I know that at the end of the day, the governor, who is the leader of the state, and all the leaders of our party in the 3 senatorial districts, they will sit down, resolve this issue, and will become stronger and more united, and we are going to deliver in 2023.
Well, but the truth of the matter is that many leaders of the PDP who supported the governor in the last general elections and its emergence, they are no longer with him. And you were saying that Ibori loyalists are still in the government. How about the former secretary to the government of the state, Chiedu Abie, who is a very strong Ibori loyalist, who has also been removed from the government? What exactly is the next ambition of Senator Ifeanyi Okowa? Does he want to become the next godfather in Delta State? And what's the status of his relationship, as I allege, between him and some of those people who helped him to get to that position? Because, as we said at the beginning, the zoning of the governorship position is the major sticking point in Delta State at the moment.
Dr. Abati, let me say this, straight away. Somebody like Abie has a very solid relationship with Governor Okowa. That I can tell you. In the first tenure, he was Honorable Commissioner for Basic and Primary Education, and he did very well. And as SSG, he also performed creditably. And I know as of today that Ibie and the governor, they have a very cordial relationship. But what we cannot tell is that we do not also know whether any of them have a political ambition for 2023. So it is not a matter we can just say that, oh, Ibie has been removed because he's a Ibori loyalist. There could be some other factors. It could be some other factors that you and I don't know. So what I want to say to that is that let's keep our fingers crossed. When we keep our fingers crossed, between now and December, January next year, the actual political, the politicking for 2023 will commence in full gear. And the governor has already said that very soon we shall commence active politicking. And when that politicking will start, you will now begin to see that some of these people that are not returned, maybe they also have interest to contest for certain positions. So for now, I know that the governor, Chief Ibori, Manuel Draga, and all our party leaders, they are working together. They don't have any friction. There's no misunderstanding between the governor and any leader of the party in the state. And in the near future, I will be proved right for saying this, because I know that by the time they hold their meetings and they start kick the ball rolling, you will discover that the PDP in Delta State remain one united big family, and that is what is going to happen in 2023.
Right. While we have you here, we have to take you up on the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, and obviously the resolutions of the Southern governors, of which your principal is one, rejecting that 3% to the host communities and that 30% of NNPC's profits to be invested in frontier basins. Can you expand on that? And what needs to be done now beyond that rejection? How do the Southern governors, and specifically Governor Okowa, how does he plan to form a pressure group?
Well, at this time, our take on the PIB bill is 10%, 10% operating costs that should be paid into the host community trust fund. That is our stand. And in the past, I think Governor Okowa also gave credence to this claim, this desire of the people of the Niger Delta, the oil-producing states and communities, that look, the communities deserve minimum of 10%, because this will also help, to deal with the issue of insecurity and agitations. Now, the degradation, the oil spillage, the pollution of the environment in the Niger Delta region is so monumental. And when the Senate committee visited the area, you saw it on television, and they lamented that the situation is really bad. But coming to now reduce the 10% that we are asking for to 3% is an insult on the people of the Niger Delta region. Because if you look at it carefully, they are also adding the pipeline bearing pathway communities into that same 3%. So that 3% comprises the host communities, and then those communities that are bearing the pipelines. And that is not the original agreement. In the Senate or House of Representatives, they agreed that 5% should go to the host communities, 2% should go to the pipeline bearing communities. But in this very bill, as passed by the Senate, it is 3% that will go to the host communities and the pipeline bearing communities. This is not acceptable. So what we are asking for is that the PIB, as passed today, should be reviewed, should be revisited, so that they can take it back to the 10% that we are asking for. You will recall that during the President Yar'Adua's administration, when the federal government planned to divest from the joint ventures, it was agreed that after the diversion, the 10% will be given to host communities. And that agreement or that understanding is not accommodated in the present PIB bill. And that is wrong. Because when you begin to suppress the goose, the goose that lay the golden eggs, what you are asking for is crisis. And we don't need crisis in this country. And if our brothers in the northern region actually believe in one Nigeria and that they want all of us to work together as one entity, they must revisit that PIB bill and give us 10%.
Well, we would like to thank you very much, Fred Latimore, for joining us this morning on the morning show. We'll keep watching the political situation in Delta State, and you said you will be proven right at the end of the day. Well, time will tell. Thank you very much.
Yes,
again.
sir.